Well, Oakland University, of course, over the last several years and decades, really has become more and more known for being an inclusive and welcoming campus for people of all different kinds and all different lifestyles. And recently, they were awarded as Campus Pride, one of Campus Pride's 2022 Best of the Best for LGBTQ plus students. Here to talk about this honor for Oakland University, as well as what has brought Oakland to this point of being able to be honored in this way, is Blake Bonkowski. He is the coordinator for the Gender and Sexuality Center at Oakland University. Blake, thanks for being with us again.
Thank you for having me again. Always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well, Blake. And congratulations on being named one of Campus Pride's Best of the Best for LGBTQ students at Oakland University. It's a great honor for the campus. And what does that mean for your center as the coordinator for the Gender and Sexuality Center, but also for the status of Oakland University as a welcoming place for people of all different kinds and all different backgrounds?
Yeah, so being named one of the best by Campus Pride indicates that you have reached a rating of 5 out of 5 stars. And so there are 40 campuses that were able to do that this year. We were one of them. We were one of two in the state of Michigan. It's us and the University of Michigan. And for us, coming from the first time we submitted the assessment, we were at 2.5 stars. To come this far over the last decade and be at 5 is a huge achievement for us. It can certainly be challenging to compete with other universities that may have significantly more funding than us in a lot of cases. And to be able to still reach that high mark really shows the commitment of our students and our staff and our faculty to one step at a time, one criteria at a time, just pushing things forward. So we're very proud of all that hard work.
And in terms of that hard work, what has been done, especially in recent years, to sort of bridge those gaps between where you were 2.5 stars just a few years ago to now being considered one of the best places in the entire country for college-age people to go to be in an inclusive and welcoming community, despite whatever their backgrounds might be?
Yeah, so some huge wins have been implementing our preferred name policy. So at Oakland, students can input the name that they use authentically in their life, whether they're trans or non-binary, or just use a nickname. And that can be on their ID, that can be on their class rosters, and that really helps students to not have to constantly out themselves and constantly explain themselves. We also, in that time, implemented some additional protections around non-discrimination. So it is against OU policy to discriminate against anyone based on gender identity, expression, or sexual orientation. We were able to do that well before the state of Michigan did. We also have, in the last 5 years, established our LGBTQ studies minor, and we have continued to expand our programming and our resources for students. A huge change for us has just been the growth of our Pride Month, which runs mid-March to mid-April, and having offices all around campus join us to do programming during that time. So there's a lot of different moving pieces. There's programming, there's policies, but it all kind of combines together to where LGBTQ plus students should be able to come to Oakland and have as positive experience as possible, we hope.
We're joined by Blake Bonkowski. He's the coordinator of Oakland University's Gender and Sexuality Center, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Learn more about the center by visiting oakland.edu/GSC, oakland.edu/GSC, to learn more about this program that has been in place at Oakland University now for 17 years, founded in 2005 on the campus of Oakland University. And you mentioned the support from the campus administration and the differences between funding between a college like Oakland University and another college like the University of Michigan, which is in a similar territory in terms of its inclusivity of the
Yep.
LGBTQ plus community across the U.S. and that same standing with Campus Pride and other organizations. So, from your perspective, as someone that works with the administration and with those in the LGBTQ plus community on the campus of Oakland University, what makes that partnership work so well to not only create these programs and establish these programs, but to make sure those efforts that are being put forth to put these programs in place are effective and benefit those students that are in this often marginalized community?
Yeah, so for us, the making sure things work for students starts by having students involved at every step of the way. So one thing that we have brought back in the last year or so is really advertising the center as a social space where students can just come, hang out, meet each other, and to be amongst those chosen family and to build those relationships. And by having those students just around all the time, it's a lot easier for us to ask questions, to ask what they need, to just hear their daily conversations and respond to those. So, for example, we've had a lot of students this year talking about teaching each other about asexuality. And so in the winter, we're going to let them get on a stage and teach that to even more people. I had a great mentor a few years back who had said, people invest in what they helped to create. And so that's really important for us to hire students and to have students around. Um, with administration, the biggest change I've seen in the last decade is I think folks just truly understanding what the challenges are for LGBTQ plus students and recognizing that they're real and that they require, from an equity lens, they require specific attention and specific resources. Uh, a thing that's been huge for us is in our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee in our plans, uh, increasing funding to the center and increasing collaboration was one of the institutional goals for the last 2 years. And so we're very thankful to be one of the areas in the university that's really considered to be important for growth. Um, all universities in Michigan are struggling right now with funding, but that we've been very lucky so far that the university has been able to see that we need every dollar we have, and that uh, organizations around us, corporations and small businesses, have also taken note and started to reach out and support us as well. So we're really appreciative of that uh, continued and increased support that we've seen in the last year.
And you mentioned that certain communities, especially marginalized communities, they need specific resources to be able to live that normal life, that or quote unquote normal life that others in non-marginalized or not so marginalized communities are able to live, especially in a tough environment like a campus environment. So, what are some of those specific resources to benefit those in the LGBTQ plus community? Because as much as that is a broad scope community, there are certain constraints too, and certain resources that are needed for different groups of people in those LGBTQ plus communities.
Yes. So a huge part of what we do is helping LGBTQ plus students just be aware of what does exist on our campus. So having an LGBTQ plus identity doesn't mean that you get an automatic download of any kind of knowledge about the community or about our center. So it's important for us that students know if they are struggling at home with family, we can help them navigate the coming out process or to plan around their safety, whether they choose to come out or not. We've helped connect students to gender affirming medical care. We help connect students to therapy on and off campus. We also work with students who are struggling on campus, whether that's a policy that's not quite where it needs to be, an instructor who's maybe not being affirmative of one of these communities, peers, roommates, folks who are causing trouble for them, that we can often help them out of those situations or help make those situations better. We also offer a discussion group once a month for students to come share their experiences within the community. We have Gender Sexuality Alliance student group for that social element. We have a virtual and physical resource library, including a lending library with over 250 books focused on the community. A lot of those are workbooks where students can explore their own gender identity or sexual orientation or learn skills how to be a better ally. Um, and we have those available for free for students rather than having to find those, to know they exist, to purchase them. We want to help minimize those barriers. And we also see a lot of students helping to educate each other about their experiences in the community. So, as a trans person myself, I came into the center in 2010, not really knowing what trans people were, and then I was surrounded by what became my own community. That's how I learned what a chest binder was, or what types of medical care existed for me. And so, really, just trying to plug folks into the community um, and help connect them to each other in whatever ways we can.
Oakland.edu/GSC for more information and those resources. If you are in one of these communities and are in need of some help or some assistance from the university itself, from Oakland University, or just pointing in some directions for peer mentoring or other guidance and a number of issues that amount for the LGBTQ plus community. Oakland University's Gender and Sexuality Center can be found at oakland.edu/GSC. Blake, another few minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that's coming up through the Gender and Sexuality Center that would be interesting for our community to know about, or other topics we haven't discussed that would be important for our audience to know about the GSC?
Yeah, so a couple of events I want to highlight. Tomorrow we are doing one of our serving up knowledge sessions, which are kind of our hot topics, educational sessions. We really try to aim those so that no matter what knowledge you have, you're going to learn something from it. So tomorrow from noon to 2 in the Oakland Center, room 128, we are hosting a session about faces of the LGBTQ plus rights movement. And for those not connected to our campus, that'll be available, recorded and available for you all to view later as well. We also do safe training once a month. Our next one coming up is October 11th from 3 to 4:30. And we would appreciate folks following us on social media, OU_GSC everywhere, so you can see, especially as we get closer to Pride Month, everything else we have going on.
Yeah, plenty of events coming up throughout October and November, including those safe trainings on campus, as well as their Serving Up Knowledge series. They'll also be participating in the Gender and Sexuality Center in the Center for Civic Engagements after Roe, the Constitution, Rights, Policy, and Politics seminar being held by the Center for Civic Engagement. That is on October 11th. Also at the Oakland Center, and that will be at 7 p.m. at the Oakland Center on the campus of Oakland University, free to the public to go to that event. Register online at oakland.edu. And of course, for more information on the Gender and Sexuality Center, oakland.edu/GSC. Blake, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you again.